Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well out there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Appreciate you stopping by. Hit the like button, comment. You guys know the YouTube deal at this point. The Tobin and Leroy show is weekdays 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You guys can watch that on 560 WQM's YouTube page. And, we get after it every single weekday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a lot of fun if you love shenanigans. Today was, I would say, a 70-40, a 70-30 shenanigans to sports talk. We got a little silly on a long holiday weekend return day, but I take no accountability for it. You know what I will take accountability for, though? I think I have found the solution. You guys ever do this? You ever get one of those texts? I'm sure you have. It's a ridiculous question to ask you because everybody has. Unless no outlet or information or you're not online has access to your phone number or there's never been a data breach of your information, everybody's had this happen to them. But you ever get a text message where it's like, hi, you don't know the number? It's just kind of left there in the ether. Or, how are you? And you're just like, who is this person? And it used to be, I think, something that freaks everybody out because I think one of the emptiest feelings as an adult is, hey, what's going on? And you don't have that. Like, I'm talking about genuine. And you don't have that person's contact information in your phone anymore. And you sit there and you're like, I don't want to be the guy. So you always have to lie because you didn't save the number. You'd be like, hey, whose phone number is this? You know, and that's always an awkward exchange. And the person fakes not being offended because they're like, LOL, it's Harry, So, but that's not the thing anymore. Anytime you get these texts now, nobody ever fears like, oh, do I know this person? You think to your immediate self, bot. And you're like, why are they trying to do this? Who is this fooling? And it's a whole rigmarole of like, hey, it may seem pointless, but if they can get one person who gets sucked into the conversation because of loneliness, maybe they could strike up a friendship and they can get one person. And it's not so much catfishing. What do they call it? Is it butchered pig? Is that what they call it? It's something like that. I remember John Oliver did a piece on it or something. I think it's like butchered pig or disheveled pig or something like that. It's a whole scandal of data farms that are trying to lure people in. I say this is a long way as to I have come up with the solution to get these people to stop harassing you. And that was today because I actually got a very detailed one. I was like, this is very forward. And it said, free tonight? ? I want to treat you to a delicious meal. What do you think? And I was like, that's a very odd, detailed spam text to get from somebody. But sometimes I can't resist. And I've done a couple of things in my life where I think I've found genius moves. I have a lot of sound. This isn't prudent for everybody else, but this the one I'm about to mention isn't prudent because you may not have this at your disposal. But if you really want to get spam callers off your line, play them on Mike McDaniel press conference, and you'll see how fast they jump off that call because they'll be tied into. And sometimes you gotta pause it. So they think, oh, the person's done talking, they can answer, and then you just start him yammering again. That brings me a lot of delight. But my new move today, I seem to get done this in 2 texts. So the text writes, free tonight, ? I want to treat you to a delicious meal. What do you think? As to which I responded, I think if Pat Riley thinks DeMar DeRozan is the answer in the offseason, he's sorely mistaken. And I was like, all right. And then there was a little bit where there's no answer. And then it goes, sorry, are you Annie? I'm Sophia. Now, let's see what I'm like, all right. Well, didn't get any kind of response that I was hoping for. They still answered, but it didn't give me the answer of anything on the off season. So then I respond and I go, hey, Sophia, do you think old Riles has any more whales up his sleeves? ? I got left on red. Who the hell gets left on red on a spam text? Only if you're trying to chat up a little Miami Heat off season. Crazy to me, man. No respect anymore. It's an insane thing. But today was one of those days where I was like, excited, but then I was like, I felt like we were kind of left out of the party, because Shams Charania, he of the Carnival Barking, putting together a dog and pony show with agents to get their stars off a team, but still credible. He said today on the Pat McAfee show, this went viral all over the place. He described what's coming this offseason as the most craziest NBA offseason ever. There to grammatically kick your ass, but maybe give you the facts. And I was like, man, that sounds awesome. I love moves. I love the offseason. We got anything? And it feels very much like we don't right now. And I'm not saying that they won't. It just feels like right now we don't. We don't have any action. As I spoke in the last video about being in the dark ages right now, and I just had to roll into today's post-holiday weekend Tuesday with more DeMar DeRozan stories and more DeMar DeRozan. Miami Heat are the betting favorite to get DeMar DeRozan. Would you give up a first round? I'm going to tell you something right now. If you gave up a first round pick to get DeMar DeRozan, I genuinely love everybody in that Heat organization, right? Like, I love the organization. I don't want to sit here and act like I want to mother bleep everybody. Someone's got to hang him up if the Heat gave him a first-round pick to get DeMar DeRozan. That's just crazy talk. I've seen, prudent things be out there. Like the boys at Locked On. Love those guys. They were giving a great argument about, what about just Andrew Wiggins for DeMar DeRozan? And I'm like, you know what? Not unprudent, because you're getting a guy who definitely doesn't want to be here in Andrew Wiggins for a guy that probably did want to be here in DeMar DeRozan. But also, no. I can't see that being the swing. And that has nothing to do with the boys on Locked On. It's a perfectly fine opinion to have. I'm drawing a line at DeMar DeRozan. That's just where I am. Because if this all ends, if the most craziest, according to Shams, off-season ends with me getting DeMar DeRozan, I may seriously need therapy. Like, I may need, and I'm dead ass about this, I may need to go sit down on a couch staring at the ceiling, and I may need to talk to somebody if that's how this ends. If the aging star, because and this is nothing against DeMar DeRozan, he's a perfectly fine player, but that's all he is a perfectly fine player. And I really don't understand what the point would be. Like, even if you were to go out here and be like, oh, Terry Rozier for DeMar DeRozan, and it'd be like, no, just let it expire at that point. Like, at that point, just get yourself under the luxury tax and be like, you know what? We're just rolling it back to say, hey, more harmony this year and stuff's coming off the books the next year. That's what you should look for. You should look for trading Andrew Wiggins for a $30 million guy who expires, and you should get a heap of people off your cap. That's what you should do, rather than going to get DeMar DeRozan. If it's getting Giannis Antetokounmpo and then DeMar DeRozan, okay, then, man, we can definitely have a talk about that. But I am not sitting here and being teased. And I know, like, look, this Shams, he could sit there showing you a little cleave. He could show you a little rumor cleavage, being like, it's going to be the best summer ever. That's what he harbors in, dude. Like, that's what he banks on. Now, that he said, it's not like that stuff doesn't bring me happiness, but I was almost like, what does that mean, right? Because he says that many execs think it's going to be a crazy ass offseason, but what does that mean? If it means DeMar DeRozan on the Heat, that's not the craziest. Like, but at that point, the Miami Heat, they should really just put the Michael Jordan actual Bulls jersey back up in the rafters, not that red 23, because you're basically becoming the Chicago Bulls if that happens. Like, if your number one piece is, hey, we got DeMar DeRozan, who wouldn't love to have him at 37 years old? I'd be like, wow, you guys really are closer to the Bulls than I even realized. Because even the DeMar DeRozan-less Bulls were more fun than the Bulls with DeMar DeRozan. And you're going to be the team that is sitting here and talking about the past, because that's all the Bulls really harbor in, right? Like, they're not tanking. They're not bad. They're kind of okay. They are in the play-in They give up a spunky fight, and then it all goes to hell. But it's all good because 6 rings, bruh, and we have the GOAT. And at that point, if you're the Heat and you're getting DeMar DeRozan, you're basically like, hey, y'all remember the big 3 and D-Wade? That was awesome, but, we're going to be here, never tank. That's what we are. You're basically taking over the mantle from Chicago if that's what your one move would be. So I just want that to be clear. I'm not going to do well if that happens, which is echoed by the fact that I am texting robots. Anyway, I was trying to think about this, though. Like, what does the most craziest offseason look like? Because, all right, we all think the biggest domino to fall is the Giannis thing, right? And Sham said today that meeting hadn't happened yet. But the funny thing was, and Mark Stein reported on this, and I laughed out loud because I'm like, this can't be a plan, right? I would rather not have a meeting. Like, genuinely, if I was the Bucks, what I read from Mark Stein, and Shams echoed a lot of this, so yeah, 2 credible guys, but it said, this is what Mark Stein reported, and I was like, what? On Steinline. He said, word is that the Bucks are trying to build a bit of a good bit of their case, convincing Antetokounmpo to give him another shot to build a title team around him by loudly reminding him the current state of the Eastern Conference. A significant aspect of the Bucks pitch is then selling Antetokounmpo on the idea of a so-called gap year that enables them to retool, allowing him to maintain a one-team affiliation for 12 seasons in Milwaukee. The very forgiving East landscape certainly enhances the notion that it wouldn't take years to return to contention. The Bucks are also hoping that the presence of Doc Rivers as a coach can provide some sort of a boost. Antetokounmpo and Rivers are believed to have a strong working relationship. Dude, let me tell you something right now. If you're the Bucks and any of that is your idea, I think you're better off just waiting till training camp and being like, hey, Giannis, what's up, man? Did you have a good summer? Don't have that meeting. I'm like, as somebody who, like, I guess would, benefit, I guess. Not that I feel great about the Heat's chances at Giannis. I don't feel any way about the Heat's chances at Giannis because I feel like the Heat, I believe, I'm hoping, my delusion right now is the Heat are keeping their cards close to the vest, right? That they're keeping their cards close to the vest and they're ready to pounce. They don't want stuff to leak because that only blew up in their face. So that's what I'm hopeful for. I just have to be more mature in handling the quiet. But Giannis, if you told Giannis, hey, the East is weak, gap year, Doc Rivers, that's your plan, don't have that meeting if you want to keep Giannis. Because, like, this is an East. He's been bounced from the first round 3 straight seasons, dude. And you're going to give him gap year? He's already had. That's what a gap year is supposed to be, a first-round exit. Like, when Dwayne Wade got bounced back-to-back first-round years, those were gap years waiting for the big 3. Like, that's what a gap year is. He's just had the gap years. You just traded for Damian Lillard and stuck your beak where it didn't belong, and it blew up in your face. So I don't really understand why Giannis would trust that, because the Drew Holiday thing worked marvelously. Then you kind of sold your soul this year. Like, you stuck your beak in the Dame business. You sold your soul, traded Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma, which I did notice that Giannis put the whole GOAT thing over Chris Middleton. I was like, that seems a little frosty. Read into it what you will. But I couldn't be convinced. Like, gap year? I don't have time for gap years, dude. He's not 26 anymore. He's 31 years old. No gap year. And Doc Rivers was your plan? Are you kidding? Doc Rivers was supposed to be, you guys fired a guy who had the second best record in the East for Doc Rivers. And it all went to hell in a handbasket. That's your solution? Good God, that was crazy. I couldn't believe it when I read that. I'm like, that's their plan? Gap year? All right. I mean, like, look, he could probably put up monster numbers in an East and win an MVP. I'm sure, like, he could go put up crazy-ass numbers, but my God, dude. Like, I don't know. That seemed wild to me. I would skip that meeting if I was them. So that's obviously the biggest thing that Shams could possibly be alluding to of craziest. Because, yeah, Giannis asking out finally is crazy. There's no doubt about that. When a multiple-time MVP and a champion leaves a place he's been for a dozen years, that's crazy. KD leaving, it's a bit crazy, but, like, we all know, we all assume it's coming. Like, everybody. Now, the thing he said today was the Spurs and KD had mutual interest. Now, this pissed me off a little bit because I was like, wait a minute. Didn't the Heat and KD have supposedly mutual interest? Like there was, I believe, wasn't the term from, was Ramona Shelburne reported it was intrigue, by the idea. So I was a little like, hey, man, we're left out in the cold. Like they really want to get Wembanyama, this big star. But again, Wembanyama's coming off blood clots. You're Kevin Durant. It sounds like a great place to go. It sounds like De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Durant, Stephon Castle, if they're able to do that with Wembanyama. Of course, that's a cool team to go to. But I was like, man, we're left out in the cold on this thing too. But it's not crazy. Like we all know Kevin Durant's probably going to be on the move somewhere. Celtics are kind of breaking up. We all know that's on the horizon. Porzingis, I don't think that's crazy. Like when he says craziest, I'm like, what could be more seismic than what happened at the trade deadline and Luka getting, basically stolen from the Mavericks or stolen from the Mavericks to go to the Lakers? When you say like it's a hell of a bar you got to live up to. Like, and I was like, Spida asking out of Cleveland would be pretty bananas. Luka not wanting to extend would be kind of juicy. LeBron wanting out of LA, even though Shams said today he's going to opt in, doesn't necessarily mean that he wants to stay there. That would be kind of crazy. And that one, you're like, aging star, LeBron, swan song. Because I saw some clips today from Cleveland of like, oh, LeBron back in Cleveland. Bill Simmons threw this out there as well. And, I saw somebody with the say on ESPN Cleveland, take it for what it was. I think it was Tony. I don't remember who it was. But they had said, like, we don't want LeBron back. Somebody in the organization apparently told us radios, we don't want LeBron back. And I'm not that surprised by that because I don't think him and Dan Gilbert ended on the best of terms by the end of it. I think the whole thing is like, I think they want to win one without him. So one has to wonder, would that leave open arms? Joker wanting out? Now that would make it the craziest summer of all time. Like the Giannis foreshadowing. And Giannis also like put this whole world. He wants world. It's kind of an interesting thing with him and KD because like KD is very American basketball prideful, which I kind of love about KD and dig about KD. Giannis wants the international blend of players to do the all-star format that way. I would kind of dig it. They did that essentially for this Four Nations thing with the that they did for hockey this year, and it was so damn good. Clippers breaking up. I don't think that's crazy. That's possible. John Morant being moved has been kicked around. Zion, I've told you, it's strangely quiet on the Zion front. That's been very noticeable. The other guy, perhaps Joel Embiid, like the Sixers finally yanking the plug on Joel Embiid and him going somewhere, or Joker wanting out. Like Joker wanting out would be like that. That to me would be like the craziest thing. If like Joker and Giannis leave in the same summer, then we can call it the craziest summer or the most craziest summer of all time. That to me was like, that would be like, but the KD thing is interesting, man, because it's like, why aren't the Heat getting mentioned there? Like, I get it. That's a sexy team to pair KD, Giannis with Fox. I get that. Him pairing with Bam and Tyler, like, it doesn't move the national needle the same way. I think that's kind of some of the issue the Heat are at right now, which is why, like, getting embarrassed the way they did in the playoffs lingers still so much because, like, there is a feeling a little bit of, like, who's jonesing to hook up with these guys and be like, I need to be on that team, right? Maybe like one of them, if there could be another guy that follows, somebody would be into. And I did wonder, like with the KD thing, is there any part of him that maybe felt a little slap in the face that like the Heat didn't pull the trigger on any deal for him? Like, oh, well, you didn't want to you had a chance to get me and you didn't want me at this point. And so then it's like, all right, well, Like maybe that was, did the Heat miss their window on the KD thing? If there was a brief window as it may be, but not going after him and giving up what has been thrown out there. It was, and I don't think this could have been straight up. I think they would have had to do other parts, but like it was Jimmy, Jaquez, and Jovic, I think was what the word was. That's what many others have, or some others have reported. Let's just say that's the case. Mechanisms aside, but let's say the Heat, they pulled back a little bit, even if it was that. But like if KD heard that, let's say that's what KD believes, and the Heat didn't pull the trigger, is there any chance that he feels like it was a slap in the face? So that had me wondering that too. But I'm telling you, man, give me some good therapists in South Florida, man, because I may need them if this is if this is where all the trajectory is going for this offseason. I need some serious help.